Our character is a composite of our habits. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. When I first picked up Stephen Covey's work, I realized this wasn't just another book about self-help or image. It's a roadmap for people who strive to realize the potential nature has given them to the maximum. It explores a systematic approach to determining life goals and human priorities. As Covey says, this is not about changing your image, it is about self-improvement and constant perfection. The real core of the book is about moving back to what he calls the character ethic. For the last 50 years, we've been focused on the personality ethic, which offers social aspirin or band-aids for deep, chronic problems. But true success and happiness only come when a person embodies these principles in their character. To understand these habits, we first have to understand our paradigms. Covey explains that a paradigm is like a map. We all know that the map is not the territory itself. A map is simply an explanation of certain aspects of the territory. If you're trying to find a location in Chicago but have been given a map of Detroit, no amount of positive thinking or working harder will get you to the right place. The problem isn't your behavior or your attitude. The problem is that your map is wrong. Effectiveness itself is defined by what Covey calls the P/PC balance. He uses the fable of the goose and the golden egg. The P stands for the production of desired results, the golden eggs. The PC stands for production capability, the goose that produces the eggs. If you focus on the golden eggs and ignore the goose, you will soon lose the resource that produces those eggs. True effectiveness lies in the balance. The first three habits move us from dependence to independence. This is what he calls the private victory. Habit 1 is to be proactive. This is the fundamental principle of human nature. It means that as human beings, we are responsible for our own lives. Our behavior is a function of our decisions, not our conditions. Covey tells the moving story of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist imprisoned in Nazi death camps. Frankl discovered that even in the most horrific circumstances, between stimulus and response, man has the freedom to choose. Proactive people carry their own weather with them. Whether it rains or shines makes no difference to them because they are driven by values. They focus their time and energy on their circle of influence, the things they can actually do something about, rather than their circle of concern, which includes things they cannot control. Habit 2 is to begin with the end in mind. This habit is based on the principle that everything is created twice. First, there is the mental creation, then the physical creation. Think of building a house. You create it in your mind in every detail before the first nail is driven. Covey invites us to a powerful mental exercise. Imagine you are going to the funeral of a loved one. You walk into the chapel, you look in the casket, and suddenly you see yourself. What would you want the speakers to say about you? What kind of character would you want them to have seen in you? When we start with the end in mind, we can ensure that the ladder we are climbing is leaning against the right wall. Habit 3 is to put first things first. If habit 1 says you are the creator and habit 2 is the mental creation, then habit 3 is the physical creation, the practice of independent will. It is about organizing and executing around priorities. Effective people spend their time in quadrant 2. These are things that are important but not urgent. This includes building relationships, long-term planning, and sharpening the saw. To say yes to these important things, you must have the fire burning inside you to say no to other things, even things that seem urgent. Once we have achieved the private victory, we move toward interdependence, or the public victory. But before we can work with others, we must understand the emotional bank account. This is a metaphor for the level of trust reached in a relationship. We make deposits through kindness, keeping promises, and clarifying expectations. When the account is high, communication is easy and effective. Habit 4 is think win-win. This is a philosophy of human interaction. It is not a technique, it is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefit. It is based on the abundance mentality, the paradigm that there is plenty out there for everyone. Win-win means that all agreements or decisions are mutually beneficial and mutually satisfying. Habit 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is the most important principle of interpersonal relations. Most people listen with the intent to reply, not to understand. They are filtering everything through their own paradigms. Covey teaches empathic listening. This means listening with your eyes and your heart, not just your ears. You're looking for the feeling and the meaning. By doing this, you give the other person psychological oxygen. Once that need is met, they are no longer defensive and are open to being understood themselves. Habit 6 is synergize. This is the essence of principle-centered leadership. Synergy means that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It means that the relationship between the parts is a part of the whole in itself. The heart of synergy is to value the differences. As Covey says, if two people have the same opinion, one of them is unnecessary. When we truly value different perceptions, we can create the third alternative, a solution that is better than what either of us originally proposed. Finally, habit 7 is sharpen the saw. This is the habit of balanced renewal. It is the PC habit that preserves and enhances the greatest resource you have, yourself. It covers 4 dimensions of your nature: physical, spiritual, mental, and social-emotional. Physical renewal means proper nutrition, sufficient rest, and regular exercise. Spiritual renewal is about reinforcing your commitment to your value system. Mental renewal involves reading, writing, and organizing, and social-emotional renewal happens through our relationships and serving others. Sharpening the saw is a quadrant 2 activity. It requires us to be proactive. As we renew ourselves in these 4 areas, we move upward in an upward spiral of growth and change. This spiral requires us to learn, commit, and do at increasingly higher levels. Covey concludes by reminding us that real change happens from the inside out. It doesn't come from pulling the leaves of attitude and behavior. It comes from the root, your way of thinking. We must not stop our exploration. At the end of these explorations, we will arrive at the very starting point, and for the first time, we will know it as it is. By placing correct principles at our center and maintaining the balance between our results and our ability to produce them, we create a useful and happy life for ourselves and for future generations.